The honest truth is, because people are people, scams have always existed, right? There will always be bad actors cashing in on a situation, and the pandemic was no different. So you spoke to some scam busters. What were the most common COVID scams?
During the COVID period, one of the most popular scams that happened actually this year is phone scams.
Okay.
So what happened is the scammer will call you on the phone. They will like impersonate as some kind of authority, regardless whether they are from the government. They might say they are from the bank. They might say they're from MACC or the police station. And then they will use scare tactics. They will use intimidation tactics, social engineering, to try to get information out of you and try to nudge you into making transactions and so on. So that is actually one of the most common scams here, phone scams.
Right. You spoke to OFS, right?
Yes, OFS. Yeah.
So they are like middleman guards?
Okay, to be fair, I want to clarify a statement you mentioned just now. OFS stands for the Ombudsman Financial Service of Malaysia. They are technically not the scam busters. They are actually a platform to resolve disputes between financial consumers and financial service providers. So generally, when the scam cases has actually reached the OFS stage, the scammer is out of the picture. So where does OFS come into the picture? Okay. So OFS is where if you are a consumer and you have been scammed and you notice that the bank has not taken the necessary steps to recover your funds or to investigate the issue. They either do not respond back to your complaints, they delay in the investigation, or they're very slow in so-called incompetent in their operations. And if you as a consumer have grounds to believe that you are able to recover your funds if the bank were to be much more competent per se, then yes, you do have grounds to reach the OFS, to reach out to OFS to try to resolve the disputes that way. When it reaches the OFS stage, it's between you and the bank. So the scammer is out of the picture.
So these guys are registered, right?
Yes, they are the sole operator, the Ombudsman Financial Service here in Malaysia.
All right. What I'm trying to understand is why are scams so prevalent?
The sad truth is, if people would not fall for this kind of scams, there wouldn't be a vibrant industry around this area. So if there's a market, people will penetrate it. So sadly to say, here Malaysians are still vulnerable to scams.
Okay.
And to actually reduce the amount of cases, we as citizens, both the authorities and the consumers themselves, should take the necessary precautions to actually protect themselves from these kind of scams.
So the sad fact is, when you fall to a scam, it's highly unlikely that you would get your money back. So how do we then raise awareness in this era of fake news and itchy WhatsApp fingers?
Okay, the thing is, what has been done currently right now to actually promote awareness regarding these scams is to showcase and broadcast the modus operandi. Okay, they will say that they will impersonate as MACC officer, etc., etc. They will do a list of step by step of how they actually siphon money out of the victims. But the problem with that is the modus operandi changes pretty much every other week. When one method doesn't work, they will switch to another method. It's always changing. It's like giving the man a fish. You teach them the modus operandi, they only know how to avoid that kind of scams. But what Malaysian consumers, financial consumers, should realize is they should actually be much more aware, it's like a paradigm shift. They should be much more cautious, they're much more skeptical and much more vigilant whenever they receive phone calls, regardless if it's from their friends, from their family, or even for unknown numbers.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Age Weekly at all good newsstands.